Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Matt Townsend Show. I am your host, Matt Townsend, your relationship coach, your life coach. We do what we can every day on this show to help you and your loved ones grow healthy, happy lives, relationships. We're just trying to keep you alive long enough to enjoy this great thing we call life. And on today's show, we're going to give you a lot of tools to help you not only maybe save some money, but hopefully not fall under the incredible crush of finances and debt. There is just so much going on financially with us that I think we are running into some serious, what's the word for it? I guess just despair financially. Are you feeling it? As you're driving home from work, do you feel like all this work you put in today is even going to make a dent financially in your family? Do you feel like you're getting ahead? Do you feel like you're not? And how do we get out of all of this financial doom and gloom? You see it in the news as you see countries struggling. Greece seriously struggling financially right now. In fact, today, I guess about $880 million was withdrawn from the banks, the Greek banks, which, you know, is a big deal on the banking industry there. And just the insecurity we feel, the lack of financial stability, and as it trickles down on today's show, we're gonna show you how to handle some of this stress a little bit better, how to maybe shore up a little bit more your finances so you don't have to feel so stressed out, maybe how to teach your children, I guess how to be a little bit different. Maybe what we ought to do is let's not take Sean Diddy Combs' advice on this one. There was a story that came out a while ago about what Sean bought his son for his birthday. So what would you, if you're Puff Daddy or P. Diddy, I don't know what he's going by anymore. I'm sure it has a P and a D in it. But what do you buy your son? Think of this. Your 16-year-old cute little boy, you buy him, I don't know, a bike. When I was 16, I think I got a Schwinn bike, a red one. It was super fast, 10-speeder. We didn't want more than 10 back then because you'd pull something. And so, no, but he didn't buy his cute little son that. He instead, the hip-hop mogul a few years ago or a year ago, bought his son a $360,000 car for his 16th birthday. But who wouldn't? Okay, it's just a Maybach. It's just a car, $360,000 luxury sedan, wrapped in a big red bow and parked outside the club that he was having his 16th birthday in. What a great dad. Man, Dad, I love you. Thanks for the Maybach. Can I borrow your CDs to put in my car? It's the ultra luxury automobile line. It's operated by Daimler, which is also the parent of Mercedes-Benz, as you know, and a few hip-hop celebrities also have them. Russell Simmons and Jay-Z are also among the famous Maybach owners. But the party was for his son. You know, you had to have the whole cast of Jersey Shore there. You know, it's just tons of fun, tons of fun. And the son, Dad gave his son a check for $10,000, which Justin immediately donated to the Wyclef Jeans charity that goes to relief in Haiti. And now, think of that. What a great dad. $360,000 car for the son, $10,000 for the poor people in Haiti. And then we sit here and we wonder, why is it that our children aren't quite getting it? By the way, you're probably not going to let your 16-year-old son just drive that car, are you? Of course not. You're going to need to hire him a driver who will then drive the son around in his car. Do you think that's the way we should be doing this? Apparently, again, you know, I don't want to just sit here and critique, but you know what? There's a problem in America, and maybe part of the problem is the fact that I don't know that we have a clue what we're doing with our finances and how we teach people. We have a ton of people in debt. The mortgage crisis, huge. We have another crisis we're going to be talking about today, which is student loans and student debt crisis. I'm not sure these kids, as I just walk around, just my staff here at Brigham Young Radio or BYU Radio, I mean, all of their parents are giving them Mercedes and cars like that. I mean, the Mercedes are 40 years old, but it's still a Mercedes, and it's missing an insignia.
I don't know what students you're talking about.
Am I not talking about you?
No.
Okay, that's kind of rude. I'm talking about Bryce. It's Bryce. Are we teaching the kids what they need to know? As you as parents, do you even know how all of this works? We're going to be talking to a financial expert. He's going to be giving us some advice on how to not only prepare our children financially so that they have a clue, and how to prepare yourself to retire. When you think of retirement, does that sound like a good idea? Well, I'd love to, but I don't think I can afford to for 70 years. There's a new study out called from the Financial Capability in the United States, commissioned by the FINRA Investor Education Foundation. And Americans were asked how satisfied they were with their current financial state. So you ask yourself the same question. On a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being not at all satisfied, 10 being extremely satisfied, where do you fit on this, okay? On average, Americans roughly rated themselves roughly 5.55. So on the scale from 1 to 10, we're a little bit better than halfway up the scale. Those in the 75,000 plus income bracket rated their average, their marital or their financial satisfaction 6.54 on a 10-point scale. That's less than 2 points higher than those that make less than $25,000 a year, and their rate was 4.71. So where would you rank yourself financially as far as your satisfaction financially? And what we're finding is that when asked how easy or difficult it was to cover their expenses and pay their bills each month, 49% of the people responded that it's not easy. They're stressed. They're struggling. So 50% of us out there are seriously struggling in meeting our financial needs. I was sitting with a client. I do relationship coaching, and we teach, instead of psychotherapy with our couples, we teach them skills and tools for how to talk, how to relate. And I was working with a woman who had been divorced and was receiving alimony from her husband. And anyway, a lot of alimony. She was receiving between alimony and child support roughly, let's just kind of say $11,000 a month. Okay? Pretty good money, right? $11,000 a month. The woman was stressed out of her gourd. She was so stressed out because her house payment was about $8,000. And I'm like, what? What are you doing? Her house payment is about $8,000 a month. And she makes $11,000, plus she could go work as well, so she could, get some more money in there. And as we sat down and talked about it, what I realized is she has all the money in the world. All she needs to do is get a clue in how to manage it and how to figure out how to get ahead with it. So we spent the entire time building a plan for how, if she sold the house, by the way, I asked her, are you able to sell it? Oh, absolutely. She's figured it all out. She knows what she could get. She's figured out that if she sold it, she could go buy another house. And the new house that she's kind of thinking of would have a house payment of about $2,500. So she'd then be putting away a lot of money. And I'm like, well, why aren't we doing this? And she said, I don't know how. I don't know how. And I'm like, okay. So that's where the idea of the show came from. We have got to get on top of this. How do we get ahead financially? That's what we're talking about on the show. How do we really take back our lives financially? How do we teach our kids the importance of money, the importance of how to spend, how not to spend, how to save? This isn't just about your financial health, folks. Apparently, this is also about your physical health. Did you know that according to a new survey, 1 in 5 respondents – 1 in 5 respondents with moderately high or high levels of debt, stress, experienced incidents of mental and physical health deterioration. Here's some of the data that they found in this study. More than 13 times as likely for people that have debt stress, they are 13 times as likely than low to no stress people to lose sleep at night. They're more than 7 times as likely to have severe anxiety. They're almost 7 times as likely to take stress out on others. They're nearly 6 times as likely to experience severe depression. They're 4 times as likely to have ulcers or other digestive problems. They're twice as likely to have heart problems and migraines. Apparently, money doesn't buy happiness, and debt buys a trip to the morgue. You're on your way. So we're going to be figuring this out. We're going to be talking about it. Before we do, let me just share with you a very simple little piece that was put together by some of our staffers here, and they're talking about the impact of credit cards. You know how credit cards work, right? But does your teenager or your grandchildren know how they work? Because you tell them all the terms like credit scores, and it just seems to go in one ear and out the other. You may have to explain it to them like this.
Hey, Catherine, look at the shirt I got. How much do you think this cost?
I don't know, Corinne, like $20?
It was free! Guess what? I went to the store and they told me that if I wrote my name down, I get 30% off my total purchase. So I got this and 2 other shirts for $40.
So you got a credit card?
No, I didn't. I just got a store card. And they give me free stuff all the time.
Sorry, sweetheart, but that's a credit card. You can get stuff with it, but you have to pay it back with interest.
Interest? Like when a guy likes you because you have cute clothes?
Not really. It's like when you borrow my clothes. When you get the store card, the store buys the clothes for you, and they're not yours until you pay them back. But the interest is a fee the store charges you to have them right away, before you've even paid for them.
Oh, so the clothes aren't really mine, even though I can wear them. But I have to pay extra because I'm borrowing them first?
Yes, you can borrow them because you're expected to pay them back, because you have credit.
What's credit?
It's like building popularity. The nicer you are to people, the more popular you are. But if you're rude, people won't want to be your friend. It's the same with a credit score. If you're nice and pay your bills on time, people will want to let you borrow their clothes. But if you're rude and don't pay them back, then they'll stop letting you.
Oh, okay, so it's like dating. In order to get asked on dates, people need to know who you are.
Right. In order to get popular, you have to have some friends and treat them nicely, so people can see how nice you are.
Oh, that's cool. But don't I look cute?
Adorable.
Yes, folks, it's just that simple. It's just that simple. All you need is a little music from Disney or whatever that soundtrack was from, and then talk about the popularity as your credit score. And it's not a credit card. It's a store card. Okay, folks, are we setting our children up to fail? And have we already set ourselves up to fail because we don't have a clue what we're doing financially? When we come back from the break, we're going to get into it. We're going to give you tools and ideas for how to take back your financial life. You're listening to The Matt Townsend Show on Sirius XM 143 BYU Radio. To the Matt Townsend Show. Money, 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 money. You got any? Because I need a loan. I'm just looking for some money, Dad. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Matt Townsend Show. We are talking about finances and how to take your life back, how to not let it kill you. And we're first going to go to a package where we're going to hear about one of the biggest sources of debt in the country. It's not just mortgages. It's not just credit cards. It's now seeping down into our college-educated kids. It's the college student loan.
So I read this article about a girl named Kelsey. She's 23 and just graduated with a bachelor's in marketing. And she's $120,000 in student debt.
Mamma mia!
And to protect the innocent or guilty, I won't say the name of the school, but it's a pretty good one.
U.S. News and World Reports has released its list of best college rankings.
But it's still no Harvard. Looking at the school's website, Kelsey's tuition probably ran around $17,000 a semester.
Let's make some money.
Now that is in league with Harvard. $34,000 a year, plus $10,000 for housing and meals, $1,000 for health insurance, and a $240 technology fee, for a modest 4-year total of $176,896, or in the right neighborhood, the asking price for a 4-bedroom bungalow.
This home is approximately 956 square feet and is situated on a 2105 square foot property.
$176,896. And she only owes $120,000, so that probably means potentially that she and her parents have already sunk about $50,000 into that education in cash. So how on earth do you get a mortgage of a student loan debt minus the house?
You're going to make a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's what a lot of Generation Y is asking themselves now. Through high school, counselors beat into millennials' heads that if they wanted a piece of that middle-class pie, they needed to go to a good college.
It's the only way for his sons to grab their fair share of the American dream.
So the ambitious Gen Yers participated in every club every extracurricular activity and whined to every teacher to give them an A so that they could bypass the community college and get waitlisted at a top 10 school where they could get a prestigious job and afford one of those $400,000 homes that were common 5 years ago.
This home is approximately 956 square feet.
But when the housing bubble deflated, so went the jobs. And now ambitious students like Kelsey are finding themselves with a prestigious degree and working 2 shifts at a restaurant at $7 an hour. Now, even if she nearly kills herself working 12-hour days, that's an annual take-home pay of about $18,000 a year, just over $12,000 after taxes, to a grand total of $1,065 a month. First expense, student loan payment. At 15 years, fixed 3.4% APR, that comes to $852 a month, leaving Kelsey with a take-home pay of $213 to spend on rent, food, gas, and insurance. By the way, the government's calculator recommends an annual salary of $102,000 to pay back that kind of loan. Come on! Which, even if the economy gets better, that's not going to happen. So suddenly that B student who was a little less ambitious and went to the community college, or maybe just a very modestly priced university, graduated with no debt, well, that doesn't sound so bad.
Wow. You know what? Thank heavens for mediocre people like me. Because, boy, that is a ton of debt. That is a ton of debt. And it's not a ton of debt if you're, I guess there's a simple answer as we bring in our expert. Ray LeVitre is here with us today. He is a 20-year certified financial planner. He is the author of 20 retirement decisions you need to make right now. And just a great all-around guy. And we know that I think his student debt totaled $300,000, right, Ray?
Not quite.
Would you ever? I mean, it's not a bad deal if you make $400,000 coming out.
Right. Well, if you're going to be a physician, perhaps.
Yeah.
Outside of that, your diploma is really a ticket to an interview, and after you get the job, it doesn't really matter anymore.
It's like we're not getting it. Yeah. Is it that the parents don't get it? I mean, these kids are being told one thing: go out, get the best degree you can. And then all of a sudden, we're this much in debt. Where are we losing this?
Yeah, the parents typically don't get it, and the kids are doing what the parents do.
Yeah,
and the parents have too big of houses, too much debt on their cars and their credit cards, etc.
Yeah, and
consequently, the kids are just doing what they've been taught.
And it's just and they want to live like they were. I mean, that's one of the things I'm saying too. Is it's hard to tell my 18-year-old daughter that no, you don't drive a car like Dad drives.
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
you drive a piece of junk. That's just how this works.
Right. And the previous discussion you had about the guy who bought the $300,000 plus car is hurting his kid.
Mm-hmm.
He's destroying his kid, quite honestly.
I mean, is that kid going to be able to make the money his dad does?
Yeah. Well, maybe he'll inherit the
maybe.
company or something.
Yeah.
But ultimately, if you give your kids a lot, you're probably going to hurt them more than you're going to help them.
Yeah. But that takes a ton of discipline, doesn't it, to not just go. I mean, you've got to understand what the plan is. I mean, I can see giving them a leg up, but they need a plan, and they need discipline, and they need to have to earn it, right?
Yeah, exactly. In fact, you can kind of ask yourself the question of, do I want my kids living in my basement for the rest of my life?
Which is huge right now.
Yeah, but the reason for that is that a lot of parents have entitled their kids. They've done everything for their kids. They bail them out every second.
Yeah.
And kids always know they can go back to mom and dad, and now they're still living in the basement and they're 40 with their kids.
Well, to pay off their student loans because they can't afford a house payment.
And it's funny, I have clients in that situation, and they ask me, what should I do? They come in, they complain about it, and they want to know what to do, and I say, well, kick them out. The best thing you could do for them for the rest of their lives is to kick them out.
Well, but where
grandma,
would they go?
Yeah, grandma can't kick out grandkids.
No.
It's just not going to happen. But ultimately, they're hurting the kids.
We'll see, and as we get into this in our next segment, we'll talk about retirement and the impact. I mean, now all of a sudden you're starting to become this multi-generational home where now you're not just taking care of you and your wife into retirement, you're taking care of everybody.
Yeah,
exactly. So that's going to take your resources away.
Yeah, exactly. And you don't want to do that. And it's easy to avoid that.
Yeah.
You just simply do some things when they're younger, and that won't happen.
What are some things you think that are just immediate things parents should be doing with their kids?
Yeah, first of all, I would say don't give your kids money. Cover the necessities, cover the school clothes, those types of things. Outside of that, make them pay for everything. So I heard someone say, and I thought it was a great idea, and that is provide them with as much work as they want. but don't give them $1.
Oh, that's so great.
And so all you can, so you could invent jobs if you want,
Yeah.
but make sure that the money that they get, they had to earn.
And it's always like contingent on the earning. They had to have done something. No free money.
Exactly.
Would you give them money ahead of time and let them earn it later, the credit model?
Probably not.
I wouldn't either.
I wouldn't. No, and maybe if they're the type of kid that would,
Yeah.
that would, come back and actually pay it back.
Yeah.
And football camp's 2 weeks and they got to have the money, then maybe that's
Yeah.
that's a situation where you would do it. But yeah, generally, no. That tough love is what they need.
I love the idea of give them as much work as they'll take. I mean, and so you can just keep making stuff up. There's no end.
Yeah. And if you can afford it, they can make as much money as they want.
That's right. And then so it's another one. So give them an incentive, no free money.
Right. Incidentally, that no free money, you could even just tack that on or tie that to their grades and say, hey, listen, ultimately, if they get good grades, they might earn a scholarship or they might do better in the future. So do what a college does and say, hey, if you get good grades, we'll pay for your tuition in the case of college. If you get good grades, we'll give you money for the things you need. And so it's still it's achievement-based, it's work-based. It's not we're just going to dole out money. The kid realizes, hey, I had to do something to make this, to get this money.
But I guess part of that is you have to be talking. I mean, this is stuff. That's what happens is we're all so reactive to it that we don't, we didn't anticipate the football program even though we knew it was coming for 8 months.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And I think the other thing that you can do, and probably the biggest thing you can do is teach your kids how to save. And a great way to do that is to do what a lot of people's companies do for them, and that is match their contributions.
Oh, that's a great idea.
And
so what they put in, you match it.
Right. And you can set the match up however you want. But we did that with our daughters. We walked them down to the bank, and we had them actually fill the paperwork out to open the new account. We had them put money in, and then we had a deal with them. If you add money to the bank, we'll match it.
That
dollar
is
for
a
dollar.
great idea.
And so basically they were going, all right, we put $1 there, we make $2. And then we use that money to buy cars. And so my daughter actually did get a car when she was 16 with the red bow, but she bought half.
She had bought half of her car.
She had saved up $2,000, and I matched her with $2,000, and she ended up with a nice
$4,000 car.
Exactly.
I mean, really, you don't need more. I mean, that's all of a sudden that's your money. You appreciate that car. You're going to take care of that car. You're going to wash that car.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a great way to do it.
Yeah, so it was great for her, and she didn't. I've always been opposed to just giving your kid a car when you're 16, but in this case, she earned it. She worked for it for a lot of years. She saved the money up, and it was exciting to give it to her, knowing that not only was she getting a car, but she got a valuable lesson of, I can do stuff. I can earn things. I can take care of myself.
Well, see, what's interesting, I could actually see one of my kids not even wanting a car, but just wanting a piano. You know what I mean? And so, but now he's motivated to get his own piano or his own keyboard or his own. I mean, to me, that's the lesson they've got to be learning is that there's a cost, nothing's free.
Yeah, exactly.
And it works. That's good stuff. What about Ray? What do you think when you see a kid right now that's 18 years old? What do they need to know about credit? Because it seems like the whole piece we just did about, hey, it's not a credit card. It's a business card or it's the department store card. What do they need to know or what don't they know?
Yeah, a couple of things. First of all, they ought to make it a rule and just say, it's a rule, I don't take on consumer debt, period, and live by that rule.
Yeah.
If they do just that, they'll almost guarantee that they'll have wealth at some point in their lives. But that means I don't owe for a car, I don't owe for clothes, I don't do anything on credit.
Yeah.
Except at some point, a mortgage.
A mortgage later.
Right. And you could justify some school debt, but not to the extremes you guys talked about. Because school debt, you're an investment, and so putting money into investment is good. Don't buy an asset on credit that's not appreciating.
Yeah.
So that means cars and all those other things that aren't appreciating. But you as an individual, if you get education,
you're an
appreciating.
appreciative
So
asset.
we could justify some debt for school.
See, that's, to me, it's just basic advice. It seems so simple, and yet I think our kids aren't getting it. For some reason, maybe we're also financially stressed that we're not even giving them the lessons, and we're just handing down more financial stress. Great. We're going to come back with Ray LeVitre, and he's here with us. He's the author of 20 retirement decisions you need to make right now. We are going to be giving some of these books away, so get ready. Get your pen and your paper. We're going to give you a phone number when we come back for a number you can call to pick up a book if you want a free copy of this book. Ray's been nice enough to give away 5 of them or so. So we are watching or listening to the Matt Townsend Show on how to handle your finances better right here on Sirius XM 143 BYU Radio. Welcome back, everybody, to the Matt Townsend Show. We're talking about money and the impact, I guess, good and bad, potentially, money has on you, your life, your relationships, your health. Apparently, it's killing us, folks. We just aren't saving enough, and our kids, maybe we're not setting up for enough success. And then that gets into other student loan issues. And now we want to move with our guest. Ray LeVitre is with us today. He is a certified financial planner, 20 years in the business, author of the book, 20 Retirement Decisions You Need to Make Right Now. And in fact, Ray has been so nice that he's given us some books to give away. And we're going to give a book away to the first 5 callers that give us a call at this number, 801-422-0204. 801-422-0204. All you got to do is call us, and we will mail you out a book. It's a big book, Ray. And he's already got another book underway, but it's about 350 pages of just great retirement information, how to make it work. And seriously, Ray, retirement, I mean, here I am, 43 years old, and I'm thinking, I am not ready. Yeah. And then I look at my kids, and I'm thinking, they are not ready. None of us are ready. What are we missing here?
Well, the big thing, and I think there's a couple of statistics that back it, is that we're just not saving enough. The average American saves about 2%. Oh. And the average retiree, and this is scary, over half of retirees have less than $50,000 total in investment and savings in bank assets.
Oh, my heavens.
And so
less than half.
Yeah. So that means that, most of the people out there that are retired are living on Social Security. And that's the way most people are tracking if they're saving 2% or less.
That's crazy.
So it's probably the general guideline is that for retirement, so long-term savings, you should be saving 10% of your gross combined income if you and your spouse are working.
10% of combined gross annually.
Annually. And that's on the minimum side. In fact, as I do retirement projections, people that are saving 10% are kind of on the bubble as far as being able to retire when they want and to have the income or the lifestyle they want. People that are saving 15% usually have some options.
Yeah.
Close to retirement, maybe retire earlier, maybe retire with more income than they had previously planned. But they have some options. So the recommendation would be absolutely get to 10% of your gross combined. And from there, start pushing it up 1% a year, 1% every 6 months. Just slowly ratchet it up so your budget doesn't, you don't feel it, in a big way in your budget. And once you're at that 15% mark, you should be set. Now, that's 15% for the long term.
Yeah.
You have the short-term issues as well, but that's where you should be on the retirement side.
Wow. And see, you know what? Would you have any idea what percentage is actually doing that? Who's getting that done?
Very few.
5%.
Very few. And I haven't looked at the statistics for that, but it would have to be very few given, the other numbers.
See, it's to me, again, it goes back to kind of discipline. It's trying to, I guess, understand our needs and our wants. I mean, It seems like we don't even have that under control.
Yeah, exactly. Well, think about what you drive. And that's a great example. I have a client who's pretty successful. We did a retirement projection. She was saving about $500 a month too little. Oh. And so it was like, all right. Well, she was in the place where she could kick in another $6,000 a year towards her retirement, in addition to what she was already doing. But she went out about the same time, leased a $40,000 Beamer, and has a $500 a month payment. Mm. And so she essentially opted for, instead of driving a car she could pay cash for, she opted to have a little more luxury, a little more comfort, and shortchange her retirement. And that's what a lot of people do is they simply would rather have stuff now than take what they're using to make payments and putting it in their 401k or IRAs or.
I remember a financial planner telling me I couldn't. He just says, you can't afford that car. You need to get rid of that car. Yeah. And I'm like, sorry, Mom. It was my mom. And she's a great planner, though. But isn't it interesting that it's almost like we need somebody to run these ideas by, because we're just thinking we need a car and we have the payment.
Right.
And then we go lease it. Yeah. When you could just go buy an older car with a little depreciation already. Don't take the hit.
Well, and a lot of people get stuck with buying the car, the stereotypical car for their lifestyle. So I live in a nice neighborhood, so I need a BMW or a
Everyone's
Mercedes, or I need, a nice SUV, and that's not necessarily the case. That's never the case, quite honestly. So in my case, I have a 2002 Camry with 135,000 miles, and it's paid for, and it's worth my daughter's car we just talked about. It's probably worth more than it is.
Isn't that amazing?
But my goal is to get it to 200,000 miles, and in the process, I'm not making a $300, $400, $500 a month payment, which frees that money up to go to an asset that's going to grow, hopefully.
Well, honestly, and I've seen your car, and it's a great car. But honestly, that's what I'd want my financial planner driving. If my financial planner, but the funny thing is that people would expect to see the Mercedes in your driveway or in your parking lot. But that means you're not walking your talk. You're walking your talk. It would be so much easier right now for you to just go get a $300 payment. Like you couldn't do that.
Yeah, and that's what if you're a doctor, you get a nice car. If you're an attorney, you get a nice car. If you're a financial advisor, you get a nice car. Mm-hmm. But every time you do that, you just put money into a depreciating asset that won't help you in the future versus putting it in an appreciating asset, stocks, bonds, funds, etc., that actually will support you in the future.
That's huge. In fact, I just want to put another call out. We're giving away 20 retirement decision. It's a book, 20 books from Ray LeVitre, and He's just a great certified financial planner, 20 years of doing this, but he's willing to give us some books to give away. If you give us a call, 801-422-0204. Anywhere, if you're hearing this message, we'll send you this book for the first 5 people that call in. 801-422-0204. 20 retirement decisions you need to make right now. It's interesting, too, Ray, and I guess this is the key. You're a financial planner. Planning to me is like the inherent killer to most people in like health, in weight, in exercise, in life, in finances, in our marriage. We don't have time to do it. How do you get ahead? What do you suggest that people do to actually start the planning process?
Yeah, and that's an interesting comment because if you want a hot tip, here's a hot investment tip. That will double your money statistically, and that is get a financial plan.
Yeah.
A written document that says, here's where I am, here's where I want to be, and here's a game plan for getting from point A to point B. And do that for your investments in retirement and insurance and estate planning and kids education, et cetera.
Yeah.
A study was done by the SEC, and they found that people with written financial plans had twice as much money as people without. Mm. So if you want to double your your money or double the money you'll have in the future, get a financial plan.
Well, and again, that takes a little effort. I'm sure I remember I sat down and they just told me all these things to get, and I was just completely overwhelmed. And then that's sometimes probably when it drops. It's like, oh, I don't know where all that is. Yeah. But then we don't get it. But if we do some planning, you're at least going to have a chance.
Right. And the first thing to do would be just to go out and inventory everything you have. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't even know what they have. Yeah. I have life insurance at work, but I have no idea how much. I mean, that's what a lot of people say when they come into my office.
Yeah.
I get free money from my company. I get a match, but I don't even know what it is. I mean, we got to hone in on what's out there.
They're not even leveraging the free money.
Exactly. And a lot of people are saying, hey, you just need to save 3%, and they'll give you 3%.
Yeah.
And they're not even doing that. So, yeah, at least get the free money.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a no-brainer.
Get the free money.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's interesting. What else? What else would you suggest we do that would get us ahead financially?
Well, the thing you really should be focusing on, and it goes back to the discussion we just had, and that is you've got to get your savings rate up. And to do that, that typically means you need to either work more or cut your spending. And essentially what that comes down to is, am I more concerned with building wealth or am I more concerned with extra comfort, extra status?
Huge.
And you have to decide. Now, if you go buy a nice car and you have a payment, guess what? You just chose status over wealth. If you have a car that you can pay cash for and you can take the payment now and put it in your 401k, you just chose wealth.
Yeah.
So you just need to decide what side of the table you want to be on. Do I want to be wealthy later, or do I want to look cool or be comfortable now? But absolutely got to get the savings rate up from the 2 or 3 or 4 or 5% up to the 15%.
Yeah.
And that's key. And then from there, what you invest in, all those other things are secondary because your savings rate will drive your future.
See, that is it's such a simple plan. What else what's like the key to what is the key do you think to get the momentum to actually start doing it? Is there something that just kind of starts tipping the scale that makes you think, okay, I need some wealth creation here?
Yeah, it's called age 45.
That's exactly.
Yeah, people start at about age in their early 40s. They start looking and going, wait, I don't have enough to retire. And then they start to get serious about it. And unfortunately, waiting 10 years to get serious about it is hundreds of thousands of dollars left on the table as far as money that could have grown and been a lot of money by the time you hit retirement. We need to have a mass wake-up call and get people at least saving more. From there, they need to invest wisely, and that's another downfall. And the average person invests based on their emotions. Mm-hmm. Their behavior, their emotions dictate their behavior, not solid planning or a strategy. And so if you think about it, and this is crazy, when do people want to buy investments?
I guess, when they're seeing other friends making them, when they're starting to make money, when they need them.
Right. I mean, if your son came up and said, "Hey, Dad, how do you make money in real estate?" You'd say, "Well, you buy low and sell high."
Yeah, buy low, sell high.
But your son and most investors don't do that. They buy once something went up 20%.
Yeah, once they got the buzz, they see it, and then they go buy it.
Yeah, like, "Oh, I want 20% too." So they buy high, and then the first time it drops, if it's cyclical,
they sell out and get out.
They feel bad and they sell. So they buy when they feel good, when it's up.
They
sell when they feel bad, when it's down, and they guarantee poor results when they do that.
Every time. Because they're too reactive. You can't be reactive in this process. You need to be proactive, right?
Yeah, exactly. In fact, there was a study done it's actually a 20-year study ending last year, found that had you just put money in the stock market, in the S&P 500 stocks, and fallen asleep for 20 years, you would have made about 9% a year.
Oh, my heavens.
The average investor buying stocks made about 2% a year for the same 20-year period.
Yeah.
Which suggests that the average investor is ruled by their emotions.
Yeah.
And not only making bad decisions once or twice, they're making them consistently.
Every day. And you need to stay and play, stay and play. Huge. Give me one more. What's your final tip, Ray? What's the number one key?
The biggest thing, like we said, is just we got to hone in on and controlling our spending, increasing our saving. And I think from an investment standpoint, you've got to just position your assets based on when you're going to spend them. You shouldn't have money in stocks or stock funds that you're going to spend in the next 7-8 years, within the next 7-8 years. Stock funds, that's money that you're not going to spend for 10 years plus.
Right.
And then from there, you can have, build your stock portfolio. Money you're going to need in the next 2 to 10 years, that's your bond money. Money you're going to need in the next 1 or 2 years, that's your cash or your bank money.
Is it bad, Ray, if you think that the way you're actually going to make it financially is just by having your parents or your in-laws die? Is it bad to just be hoping someone's going to die so you inherit some money? Is that a bad way to plan for your future?
Yeah, that's an awful way to plan.
Isn't that? I mean, think of it. If you're hoping for someone's death, that's a pretty good sign that you need to get a financial plan.
Yeah, that's like saying I don't need life insurance because I'm going to live forever.
Oh, yeah.
Right, that's my plan. I'm just not going to die.
Yeah, and if I do die, everyone will have the money, so it'll be, or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
It's messed up, Ray. Ray, appreciate it. You're a good man, and he's given away some books. If you're still interested, 801-422-0204. Just call that number, and we will give you a free book. We'll send it out to you. The book's called 20 Retirement Decisions You Need to Make Right Now by Ray LeVitre. 801-422-0204. Give us a call, and it's just a gift from Ray to, I guess, BYU Radio and BYU Radio to you. So give us a buzz on that. Now we are going to be taking a break. When we come back, we're going to go in-depth, take a deeper look at some other keys, some other tools that might help you at least learn to communicate better around things like money. You're listening to The Matt Townsend Show on Sirius XM 143 BYU Radio. Welcome back, everybody, to the Matt Townsend Show. We've been talking about finances, and you know what? It's just not easy, is it? It's not easy to try to stay ahead, to make sure we get it all, to get everything we need. We got to plan. We got to take care of our money. We got to educate our children. How do we do it all? Maybe we just need to listen to Scrooge McDuck. Maybe he's got some powerful advice for us.
You boys have to learn that you can never get something for nothing.
You can't get something for nothing, kids. It just doesn't work that way. Now, as we kind of start wrapping this up, and we need to figure out what we're going to do with our time, what we're going to do with our money, what we're going to do with our focus. How are we going to get ahead financially? I want you to be asking yourself, what do you specifically need to focus on? What is What is it that you need of all things to make sure that you take advantage of your life, that you start to understand better your own money situation, your own finances? Because when we talk about finances, it doesn't necessarily get easier. And especially because I think it's something that's so technical, we may not even be may not even have the capacity, the competency to know at all what we should be doing with our finances, let alone actually having the time and the attention to be able to do it. So as you're sitting there and you're at home, I want you to ask yourself one question. What is the most important thing you need to do today, financially, to protect your family, to take advantage of some of the things that you need to do? We're now going to go to a little book review of a great book that's called The Millionaire Next Door, and it's just a little segment we put together of some of the greatest ideas out of the book The Millionaire Next Door. It just shows you simply how are you living in relation to the real millionaires according to this latest book.
Listen to the description of these two men. Man 1 is a medical professional. He lives in a large house in a nice neighborhood. He has a boat, 2 jet skis, 4 current model cars, and a swimming pool. His wife shops at Saks Fifth Avenue, and he holds 1 or 2 of every major credit card. Man 2 is self-employed. He lives in a lower middle class neighborhood. He drives an older Civic. His wife shops at JCPenney. He has 2 credit cards, and he has a 4-year degree. Which of these two is the millionaire? You probably think that Man 1 is the millionaire. Just look at his stuff. Well, if you did, you'd be wrong. Man 2 is the millionaire. Why? Because Man 1 is an under-accumulator of wealth, while Man 2 is a prodigious accumulator of wealth. These terms, under-accumulator and prodigious accumulator, come from the book The Millionaire Next Door by Drs. Thomas J. Stanley and William D. Danko. They mean that Man 1 does not accumulate wealth, while Man 2 has a talent for wealth accumulation. This book is the result of a study conducted by the aforementioned doctors who interviewed millionaires from the United States to find out why they were millionaires. The result surprised them. Going back to the example of Man 1 and Man 2, Man 1 is not a millionaire because he has a high consumption lifestyle. His income may be high, but he's paying so many bills and spending so quickly that not much sticks around for savings or investing. Danko and Stanley asked the question, and I'm paraphrasing, how long could you sustain your family if you were no longer employed? That's the real question, and the real definition of wealthy. The book The Millionaire Next Door highlights the disparity between what the media shows as millionaires, several flashy cars and big houses and decadent vacations, and real millionaires, which the book prototypically describes as, quote, 57-year-old male, married, 3 children, who live on less than 7% of their wealth. Also, about 80% of those millionaires are first-generation rich, which means that they earned it, not inherited it. To further explain the idea that millionaires could be running around us incognito, Danko and Stanley include this quote from one of the millionaires they interviewed. Quote, my business does not look pretty. I don't play the part. I don't act it. When my British partners first met me, they thought I was one of our truck drivers. They looked all over my office, looked at everyone but me. Then the senior guy of the group said, oh, we forgot we were in Texas. I don't own big hats, but I own a lot of cattle. This quotation comes from what Danko and Stanley describe as a 35-year-old Texan who owned a very successful business that rebuilt large diesel engines. They go on to say that he drove a 10-year-old car and wore jeans and a buckskin shirt. Finishing the description, they wrote that he lived in a modest house in a lower middle-class area. His neighbors were postal clerks, firemen, and mechanics. After reading a substantial portion of the book, my view on wealth shifted. The if I inherited $1 million today game took on a whole new meaning. If you asked me now, I'd talk about buying a modest home and investing the rest to continue living like I'd never got the $1 million in the first place. If you had asked me before, well, let's just say that man number 1 from the first example and I would be very alike. Except with more cotton candy machines.
If I were a rich man, yabba-dibba-dibba-dibba-dibba-dibba-dibba-dum. All day long I biddy-biddy-bum. If I were a wealthy man.
On a more serious note, this book redefines the way I think about wealth. Not as a glamorous display, but as a product of planning, discipline, and hard work. Many could ask, what could be better than a big house and nice cars? Well, from what I learned, financial independence.
Welcome back, everybody. Interesting book. Love the book. It actually wore me out because I realized apparently I'm not the millionaire next door. I'm just the loser wannabe millionaire that pretends like I have money, even though I don't, and now I'm exhausted. That's just kind of a really important lesson. That the old law of the harvest, you reap what you sow. We have received a bunch of callers that got a copy of that book that we were giving away, Ray LeVitre's book. We had callers from Indiana, Houston, Texas, California, South Dakota, Arizona. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Appreciate that as well. We'll be giving away more things like that as we go throughout the show. Remember, our goal on the show is to see if we can't help you be better and healthier and happier. One of my good friends, a guy named Kurt Christensen, once said that about money, that money makes you more of what you already are. So if you're already happy and charitable, money will make you more of those things. If you're a negative person and selfish, money will make you more of those things. Basically, money exposes who you already are. And if you're having struggles, if you don't know how to get ahead, then maybe what money's exposing is that you're just a little disorganized. And you know what? That's fine. Just recognize it. Our goal on the show, remember, if we can help you, is to make sure that you have some tools. You've had some great ideas from the show, but maybe more importantly, there's a spirit of this that I really want you to feel, which is the spirit that, you know what? Let's get ahead. Let's start taking it more seriously. Let's slow down our spending a little bit. Let's start throwing away the stuff. We don't have to keep accumulating more and more and more. Maybe this is where the concept of less is more is really going to stick. And I think, honestly, as we can slow down our spending, maybe we can start smelling the roses and start enjoying life again. Wouldn't that be a great feeling to know that you don't have to overwhelm yourself with all the debt, all the fears, all the struggles, all the trials, and instead just be grateful for what you've got? A little advice as well, maybe start making a list of everything you are grateful you have. You're grateful you have a job, that you have a place and a family to take care of. Are you grateful for those things as well? Because sometimes that makes all of the other stress that you might have because of your debt even a little sweeter. Appreciate you listening, folks. We're here every Monday through Friday, every single day, trying to help you guys take better care and lift your lives to higher levels. You're listening to The Matt Townsend Show. We'd love to hear from you on Twitter at BYU Radio, on Facebook at BYU Radio, and email us at byuradio@gmail.com. This is The Matt Townsend Show on Sirius XM 143 BYU Radio.